Welcome to another CEO Wisdom podcast. We have Maruf Yusuf with us today. He's an award-winning serial entrepreneur, an author, fractional CMO, and investor seeking unicorns. He's in Toronto, Ontario. I'm in Montreal, Canada as of today. Both of us are in the cold weather. He's marketing to 2 billion Muslims via Halal Ad, which is one of his company. He's also Chief Marketing and Digital Strategy Advisor at MRHB.network, an author and host and a coach at Entrepreneurs, and CEO at Ali Huda. Impressive guy altogether. Also co-founder at Curan Era, and so much more. We're gonna start. We're gonna talk about and start talking about because I haven't talked much about Muslims marketing agencies and Muslim startups before. Interesting topic, certainly a cool niche today. So it's going to be fun. You can go to podpire.com if you need help or want to scale your podcast, podpire.com. Maruf, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Hey, Charles, thank you so much. Thank you for inviting here and also being open-minded and want to learn new as you said, new dishes. So as you said, you want to know my background, so I will start with my background, and we can go into all the things. I live in Canada, Toronto. You are in Montreal, as you said, but I'm a newcomer. What I mean by that is I came to Canada about 3-4 years ago. If you remember the COVID time, that's when I came. But before that, I was in Denmark. I'm a Danish citizen as well. I lived there 17 years. And yeah, I originally though, as you can see, I'm not a Dane. My name doesn't sound a Dane or So I'm originally from Central Asia, a country called Uzbekistan. Some people confused with Pakistan, but say it's a different country. So when I was 20 years old, I left my country for a better life, education. That's when I came to Canada. Next 10 years, sorry, Denmark. The next 10 years in Denmark, 2003, 2013. I was studying, I was getting a job. I was in my 30s, 2013, but 10 years ago, I had a family, I had a house, a car. You can go achieve those things in life. And then somehow I felt that something was missing in my life. Like, Charles, that in the West, we have something called the middle age life crisis, right? You reach a certain age, you want to do some bigger purpose. That's what happened to me, I guess, 10 years ago. And then, to be honest, at that time, I wasn't religious. I was just a regular guy trying to do a good job or hustle, get a life, get a job. But something was missing. I didn't know what it is. So doing some soul searching about, it took me some years, but eventually, kind of, in my case, I kind of rediscovered what spirituality means. In my case, it was Islam means to me, right? What I figured out is that it was that when I looked at what the spirituality means for me was that Islam in a concept, what it actually says is that, look, you are here for a purpose, right? You are here to serve people, to do good. Against all the odds, against all the bad things, you have to do good. And Islam teaches us that we are created by one force, one entity, one supernatural being. And all of you see Iran as a big simulation. And when we die, we're going into a different state. So some of the things I might say for some of your readers seems to be like a jumbo thing, but I mean, trust me, it was for me as well. But I would do a lot of research. I came to conclusion that should be more than what I see right now, right? So that's what I believe anyway. So, but when you have that belief and you look into my life, it was not a good life. What I mean, don't get me wrong, I was living for good money, this and that, but the higher purpose was missing. So for me, about 10 years ago, I said, okay, I want to live. I want to try this because I tried this materialistic life. It gave me some things, but it doesn't fulfill me. But I want to do something else. So about 10 years ago, I started my journey. I didn't know what to do. I said, if you believe in God, you maybe make a call in prayer. We say, what, just show me how it is. So about 10 years ago, we started there was another startup 10 years ago. We started the social network project. It did not work out. But because of that, we stumbled upon this idea, what you mentioned, the Halal Ad. So we saw the project, our first project didn't work out, but we saw people, especially Muslims, they were buying and selling ads, right? And we want to build business on that. And this is how we started. The first iteration was not good. We're trying to build an ad network. It didn't work out either, but then we shifted to marketing. So Muslims didn't care. Muslim business didn't care if it's coming from our solution or not. They just needed clients. So we learned the skills, the Facebook and Google and all of these things, and then we started offering that. By just listening to clients and offering what they need, we have 10x our revenue, and the rest is just much easier it became, right? So as of now, we do a lot of things. We'll get into them one by one later on, but I'm just giving you a bigger picture. So Halal Ad is probably 8-9 years old, but over the years it expanded to something else. But now it's not just a marketing agency. We also do sometimes partnerships. What I mean is that sometimes startups, they come early stage. Some of them you mentioned, they don't have the funds to marketing agency, but we know it's going to work. We support them, but it's going to work out, right? And later on, we become a smaller equity shareholder in that company. And right now, as we speak, we are working on a model to create Muslim-focused VC, because there is no Muslim-focused VC. As you said, it's a niche. It is a niche, but if you look at the numbers, there are 2 billion Muslims in the world, right? There are 8 billion people. 25% are Muslims, but they're underserved, and this is the market we are tapping into. Then this is a broader picture. This is the background story I want to tell you. Then we can jump onto other questions if it makes sense.
Yeah, and you started so many startups. Which one was the most successful one and why?
So that's a good question, right? So the Halal Ad is the main thing I run, right? But other startups, some of them you see the Quraniora, Marhaba, and other things, there's a more to come. As I explained to you, the way we work with them is a bit different. So as you know, as a founder, you cannot focus on many things. You have to know what you're really good at. And in my case, my strong point is, I guess, let's imagine, Charles, you have a product or service to Muslim audience. So our strengths, our agency's strength is we can get to your clients the cheapest, the fastest than anybody else, because we have done it over the 10 years. That's our strong point. So what we do is, you have seen the Quraniora and the Marhaba and other guys. So they come to us. There's one more thing I want to tell you. About 2 years ago, Meta and now the Google and everybody, they have removed the option. When you target, right? As a marketer, targeting is important. You have to talk to the right people. You cannot just place an ad about, let's say you want to teach something religious and boost that to everybody. First of all, you will annoy people. Second of all, they will spam you, and it doesn't work. So targeting Muslims is important, and that option is gone. Can you imagine that? You are no longer target. Right now, you can go to Facebook, you can target, let's say, CEOs, right? You can do other things, but you cannot target Muslims. They have not only Muslims, by the way, a lot of other religions as well, but it was a huge impact for us. So our agency came up with a solution that we have the audience database at this point, about more than 400 million Muslims around the world. That's our unique selling point. So we are no longer just a marketing agency, but we are a data agency. So because of that, we work with a lot of startups, right? Some of them are closing to $500 million in valuation. Some of them are just starting. Some of them are 5 million, some of them 10, some of them 30 million. So out of them, out of clients, the most successful one would be Wahid Invest. I think they are at this point probably over 400 million valuation. That's will be the biggest one I know. In terms of numbers, that's another app called the Quran app. We can read Quran. We help them to reach to over 60 million app downloads.
It's quite impressive. And the niche, I mean, yeah, one of the things that I preach as an entrepreneur is to start businesses that are aligned with your values. You have done, that's pretty good. That's a huge source of energy. When you say like ethical, right, do you mean that the ads they follow the Muslim quote unquote rules or guidelines, and what are these, what would be like ethical ads from a Muslim perspective?
Yeah, that's a good question, Charles. So yeah, when we say ethical, it means to base Islamic values. For example, Islam doesn't promote alcohol, right? If anything, alcohol products, we don't touch them. Or for example, gambling products, we don't touch them. And there are, these are the major ones, but there are, for example, nudeness.
Factual as well is like.
Say again?
yeah, sexual
Yeah, exactly.
connotations.
Sexual media, exactly. They will not. So, I mean, Islam has a very basic rule. A lot of people make it a really big thing, but it's a very basic rule. Because in the West, you live in the West, I live in the West. Here, the everything is around individual, right? What's my personal freedom, this and that, that's fine. But Islam looks at it a bit different. It looks at the freedom, looks at the well-being, but not only as a person, but as a society. What is it good for the common good, right? For example, if you look at alcohol, right? Alcohol, yeah, it could be good for you, but the way it looks at it is like the harm is more than the benefit. Or the gambling, right? Instead of spending your time in gambling, do something productive, right? Or sexual nudity, and instead of doing it, asks for modesty. For example, any man who's looking for those things, like some says, like, imagine this were your mother or sister, would you do that? You would not, right? How would you give it to somebody else which you wouldn't do to your sister or mother? So if you look at the concept, overall broader concept of Islam is more like what's good for the society as a whole, not only for one person only, right? That's the rule. If you just follow the rule, most of the time you are just home. You don't have to worry about the other things.
Yeah, I feel that, yeah, religions have good values essentially. Obviously, there's exceptions as time advances, as we become in a busier and more technological forward world. So my question is like, why is like or why is Islam always demonized? Like you seem for example that it seems that Israel and Palestine,
Mm,
like again the fires raging
yeah.
again. There's been 9/11.
Mhm.
So it's like why are like people always getting outraged when it comes to religions with an S, and yeah, the polarity that they create.
I think that's a good question, Charles. So you mentioned Palestine, what's going on. You mentioned 9/11. So we have to understand something. Like, so there are two different issues, right? I want to separate. I mean, when we're talking about Islam and Muslims, we have these are the biggest elephants in the room, right? We have to address them. I really acknowledge you for your braveness and bringing up those questions. So, as I told you my story, right? When I left my country, Uzbekistan, I was just a person, probably not practicing religion. I had a similar thoughts. What you said. I didn't. To be honest, I didn't want to be even like majority people in Uzbekistan. They may affiliate with Islam. To be honest, I did not. To be honest, I just said, you know what, I just I just want to live a life. I don't want to do anything because I didn't have a good, as you said, good understanding, but probably good different understanding. When I came to Denmark, right, exactly so these things were happening. If you remember, it would happen 9/11, right? 2001. I came to Denmark 2002, 3. Even it was really hot topics. You go on TV, they are showing big bird people like blowing up people. So like, you cannot like a dissonance. Like, how could it be? Where I come from, I know the people. My uncles, my mother, and all these families. They are Muslims, but we never think of blowing up people. Why are these people doing this? So you have this identity crisis. For me, it was like I was. You don't want to distance yourself. But then the more I look into this, the more you understand. I think so. Those people, as you said, they do exist, right? They do exist. That they have extreme views about the world and how they see and how they want to approach it. But fortunately, their numbers are too small, like probably one and under 1%. And I think you know what, those kind of people exist in any large group. Not only Islam, you can look at the history of Christianity, even look at what's happening in Palestine. I will connect with that, what's going on as well. So, and whenever the people congregate, come together, like there are very small set, there always becomes this kind of extreme and violent and literalist and all this stuff. And Islam has it as well. I'm not denying that. Yes, we do, unfortunately. But the you see the to do the best, because I am Muslim, I bias, I can see anything, but I will encourage you or anybody. I want you to do one thing. Just go to the source, right? Go to the source. What I mean, the Quran. Just get a good translation. If you're in Montreal, let me know. I'll just send you. Just read it. Just read the Quran, what it says. But Quran, it never says like expel people, kill people. And some people sometimes misquote and say, hey, this is a verse. But what they're missing is, I'm telling you, I suggest people just read a couple of verses before, You cannot misquote them. And it was talking about a time in history where people in a fight, they were coming attacking them. If you attack and attack, this is what was saying. It doesn't give you the right to go and kill. Actually, there is a verse on the Quran. It says, if you kill one innocent person, it's as if you killed the humanity. You understand? It's a huge, huge sin. So what I'm saying is, unfortunately, this kind of extreme tiny groups exist, and Islam has them as well. I'm not denying that, unfortunately. But the good part is what's happening right now. Charles, you're reaching out to me, I'm reaching out to you, and we're discussing these things. And this is how we get to know each other. And we have so much commonalities. We have this, Muslims have the same dreams, right? I'm not here to exploit or do any harm to you. I'm just here to coexist, to live a life, and there's nothing
Right.
else.
Yeah, we're all humans in the end, and yeah, the Quran states clearly that they emphasize justice, honesty,
Yeah,
compassion,
that's true.
generosity, humility, forgiveness, and it condemns lying, cheating, stealing, murder, and oppression, which is pretty similar to the Bible. It seems that some individuals weaponize religions,
That's
because
true.
spirituality is really strong, right? It's like something that's stronger than you, and you can convince yourself that, God wants you to do this, but in the end, it's total falsehood. So some people are still successful at convincing themselves of that. And then, yeah, with Israel, that the war seems to never end. It's like vengeance. These are complex issue, but like
That's
you as
true.
an entrepreneur, like how would you resolve these potential conflicts?
Man, look, the Israel issue. So the first one, as you said, the 9/11 happened. Is the Israel, right? I remember growing up, showing on TV things happening in Palestine. I didn't understand what's going on. Always, there seems to be always something going on in that part of the life. Always like constant. Like up until probably last few years, begin to understand what's going on from different perspectives. Um, so I mean, the last example, like let's use Palestine. Right now, it's on rage, right? It started on seven. I mean, a lot of people claim it started on 17, and with Hamas, etc. Right? It's crazy going on. A lot of people are being killed and children. But um, I wish it was just a simple solution, like entrepreneur can come and do. But I think the reality is, you have to understand the root cause, right? The root cause is, unfortunately, it's not just starts out of blue on 7th of October. I recently uh, read the definition, one definition, what the Palestinians have been feeling over the last 75 years, right? Under oppression, all this, it just blew up. It just blew up. And no one, don't get me wrong. Whoever does any acts of violence and harm, I condemn them. There is not from Islam. But at the same time, we have to understand the context, what's going on, right? Why this thing is happening, why it being subjugated, etc. It goes back to the realities. It goes back to many, many years, up to 75, even more, right? It all probably, the root cause goes somewhere to World War II. If you remember what happened in World War II, right? Um, Nazis were subjugating a lot of Jews and killing them in concentration camps, and as we know, it's Holocaust, right? And the Jews as a nation were scattered all over the place, and they wanted a home. And we may dive into history, but the thing is, at that part, the land of Palestine, it belonged before that. It belonged to Ottoman Empire, part of the larger Islamic, but it fell down after World War One. It belonged to then the British, right, as a part of their thing, but so it was promised to as a new home for Jews after World War II. And if you look around, right, if imagine Canada or US, um, let's imagine for a moment. Even now we are under Commonwealth, but there's no power that the Queen. Imagine Queen still were part of it, and the Queen said, "I'm going to give half of the country to another nation." We would not accept it, but this is what's going on, right? In the core, this is what it is. It was given to people, and the other people came and began to take it over. It's a long history. I wish there was like as an entrepreneur there was a simpler solution, but I mean, to be honest, like there's been a lot of solutions that there's one state, two state, there's so many things. And I think no matter what I say, to be honest, as an entrepreneur, it's not gonna easy solution. It doesn't solve like that. But to be to be honest, for them to come to place, both of the nations has to come into one table. I believe they have to come on the table and say, okay, look, what happened to happened. We'll probably uh, what happened to happen, but how can we coexist? Is there a way we can coexist? If you, I'm not the politician, Charles, I cannot give you the exact solution, but I'm saying if there's a way to coexist, and let's figure it out. Let's live as human beings, right? Without killing each other, without hating each other. And there's enough food, there's enough resources for all of us. Is, in entrepreneurship, we call the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. That's all about this. That's enough food, there's enough help. If they want to do that, a lot of people are willing to even help. But I think um, that intention has to be there. Sincerity has to be there from both sides. They want to come and work towards this, and I think that's the only one it works. Otherwise, it's a vicious cycle. I believe, unfortunately, it's a vicious cycle, right? Imagine one country bombs and kills people, and probably they are justified by the killing Hamas. Maybe they are, but imagine every time they're killing tens of thousands of children. What happens to their parents? Think about it, right? And they get radicalized and say they cannot, like, look, I have three kids. I don't know if you have kids or not, Charles. If somebody's killing my kid, even they say just, oh, I'm sorry, it was a mistake, I want to do, like, as a parent, you get really angry, right? To be honest, I don't know what would I do if someone killed my child. I don't know, to be honest, what I would do. So what's going on right now, I'm not pointing fingers at any side. I'm just, what's going on right now, it doesn't bring to peace. That's what I know for sure. And yeah, sorry about this, man. It's just it gets really heated up.
Yeah, well,
This
I know
topic.
exactly what you would do, and what I would do is, and it is to seek vengeance. Like if we
Yeah,
listen to emotions, but it
yeah,
seems to me that at some point someone needs to really take a hit and
yeah.
like leave their emotions out of the
Yes,
equation for the
yes,
greater
yes,
good. I mean, what we're seeing there is like the worst part of or humanity or shared humanity. Like I'm not better, right? Like I still have these emotions inside me, and they're all bottled up. That's like our primary or primal nature. And I feel it's not really about religion at this point. It's mostly about like human nature. And I'm getting more and more in agreement with like someone needs to step in, like a mediator or something. At first, I was like, yeah, not really, because
yeah,
mediator doesn't know much. But at some point, we need someone to
yeah,
take maturity, someone that's impartial and just step in because this is not working. And
yes.
yeah, I checked the video you shared on LinkedIn, and it's just so sad, like all the children that perished there. And yeah, there's no justification. So yeah, it's a tough topic, but thanks for shining a light on that. Maruf, where can people find out more about you online?
Sure. I think I'm most active on LinkedIn. If you just type my Maruf Yusuf, my surname, it will pop up. And usually, yeah, recently it's been a lot of this kind of topics, but I usually talk about entrepreneurship, value-driven entrepreneurship, I would say. It's not just working for the money. So I just want to quickly mention this as well. As I mentioned, last 10 years, I've been talking to probably over thousands of Muslim entrepreneurs. Do you remember I told you when I beginning when I started this, something was missing. It seems a lot of Muslims are feeling the same, entrepreneurs, and they're working different jobs, they're doing business, but what they did is like they were missing something. And what we're doing through the book is that helping them how to connect what they do, their work, entrepreneurship, with the serving higher purpose. What I mean by serving is that God doesn't need service, but what we think God's creation, people need service. And how do we do that in the most beautiful way? And that's what's all about. It's called the 7 steps to success. If any Muslim entrepreneurs or anybody actually, let's say it's a very light written book. So they can find me on LinkedIn, they can check out the book. And that's my message, man. My message to the world is that how do we live and let live, and do our best, and in a beautiful way without harming people.